Good afternoon. Hey, I just wanted to ask real quick, do we have any Airwatch customers in the room, or is anyone familiar? Got quite a few, so the rest of you, this is your first exposure or looking here to learn more about Airwatch today? I appreciate that. My name is Pete Day. I'm an Airwatch sales rep here locally in the Twin Cities. Joining me today is Scott Curry. He's a solutions engineer. We're a team here in the upper Midwest focused on Airwatch supporting VMware's enterprise customers. And for those that are familiar with Airwatch that are customers today, or if you're hearing about Airwatch for the first time, I think we have something for everyone in the audience here. I'm going to start out, talk a little bit about Airwatch and what it is, some of the features that we provide today, and then Scott's going to step up and he's going to talk about some of the recent announcements and enhancements around the platform going forward. So to begin, I just want to talk about where Airwatch fits into VMware's environment, what VMware provides to the marketplace today. So many are familiar with the virtualization that VMware has offered over the years, products like ESX, vCenter, vSphere, those things to virtualize the data center and really enable the cloud, right? Be able to move those workloads around, whether it's a private cloud on your prem, a public cloud, maybe you go off-site, or if you utilize that mobility between using the virtualization to set up and use the hybrid cloud. End-user computing really focuses on the solutions for the end-user device. So when you think of VMware, you think of Horizon and the VDI environment. Well, Airwatch also fits into that business unit, if you will, of end-user computing. So software-defined data center, end-user computing are the primary business units of VMware, and that's where they fit in. And again, Airwatch, we are the mobility platform. We are for mobile management. We are for the mobile app management and also content. So to kind of bring it all together, businesses don't work unless the end user has access to their apps, has access to data. And that's really where the end user computing solutions come into play. Make sure that we can deliver that out to each of your end users. And the software-defined data center, the SDDC business, they're really out there to help, make the data center more efficient, give you the mobility that you need in that environment so that you can actually deliver that data and that apps to your end users. Right, so the ultimate goal is make sure that our workers can get the work that they need to get done wherever they may be. So Airwatch has been around for quite some time. We do have a number of customers. I bring this slide up because I believe it shows that Airwatch is able to work in many verticals, many industries, many use cases. We have the customer base that shows that. I believe that you'll find as you get more familiar, you're leveraging Airwatch, that we too can meet any requirements that you bring to the table around, mobile app management, mobile device management, and such. And then Airwatch can be found on a lot of the analyst reports. And what I really like about this, what makes me proud, why I'm a part of Airwatch, why I joined, is because when you look at any of those reports, what you're going to find is Airwatch is consistently called out as a leader. So what is Airwatch? What do we bring to the table? The single pane of glass, the console, I think is a powerful tool for what we bring to our customers. You're able to manage all your platforms, whether they're iOS, Windows, Microsoft, Android. You're able to manage corporate-owned devices. You're able to bring your own devices. You're able to drive applications down to the device, manage the application space. You can either drive them down or you can also block applications that you don't need. Content, same thing. You can drive content to the end user or make content available for your end users to access. Email policy can be set up, how we want email to be handled on the end device, including the attachments. So various aspects of how you want to handle everything that takes place with your mobile device management can all be done from a single platform. We also have dashboards built in that can give you that high-level view of your environment, of your deployment, with a mouse click to drill down into any attribute that you have there to really see what's going on and be able to manage that. So again, very powerful tool in having that one console, single place to go to manage the entire environment regardless of platform or ownership of the device. And multi-tenancy really provides the scale, really provides the ability for you to build out an environment, a deployment in your organization. What is multi-tenancy? It's that ability to create groups. You can create groups by geographical region, by job function, maybe by business unit. All of these are important as you're trying to drive and build policy for the different users. So really the benefit of being able to build these types of groups is to allow you to apply the right policy to the right group at the right time. Also point out that as you build these policies and apply it to various groups, there's also parent and child relationships that can be developed within the multi-tenancy. So if you want to apply a policy at a parent level, it can actually fall down to any childs that fall underneath that parent. So a lot of flexibility in developing your policies around how end users, depending on their requirements, depending on your security concerns in managing the entire environment. And this is a tool, our compliance engine, automated compliance engine, we find that our customers really like. This is the tool that allows you to monitor the environment and make sure that your devices remain in compliance. So an example of driving automated compliance, say one of the rule sets that you have in your policy is on an iOS device they must have a passcode. And for some reason the end user goes ahead and they turn that off. You can set up a policy that says, yes, you must have a passcode. You can define an escalation. So maybe as soon as the system recognizes that non-compliance, they send an SMS message out to the device that says something along the lines of, you're required to have a passcode, please turn that back on. Please reset that. And maybe you have that go out in the first hour, maybe every 4 hours for a day. Then you can set the next level of escalation if that hasn't been taken care of. Maybe it's an email that goes to that person and their manager, and it says something along the lines of, you need to turn on your passcode, or we're actually going to remove your managed apps, your managed solution from the device. And you send that email, day one, end of day one, and then on day 3 you say, we're done with this, right? You send them a note, we're going to remove all your applications, remove all your workload, and you're going to go ahead and do what's called an enterprise wipe on the device, therefore pulling off everything that's managed from the organization. The device itself will still have all the personal items, say it's a BYOD device, won't affect that, but it will pull down everything from the company and not allow them to work from the device anymore. So again, a very powerful tool. You as an organization don't have to monitor that compliance. You're able to set up those policies and let the automation take care of the workload for you. So as I've just described, really any endpoint can be managed through our platform, whether it's a laptop, whether it's a phone, a tablet, even peripherals can be managed. And we do have several use cases of POS device management as well, so we can get out into other spaces other than just personal devices. Any platform. Commonly we talk about the Apple, the iOS, Android, and Windows, but we do support any platform as well. And then the various use cases, whether it's a corporate-owned device, whether it's a bring your own device to work. Maybe you have a shared device. People check out for their shift and have to turn it back in. We can help manage and take care of that. And then line of business. Along the lines, maybe there's a kiosk mode, maybe a single app mode that you need to put on a device. We can also manage those use cases as well. So again, that breadth and flexibility to manage your devices, manage your mobility. There's also various ways that you can go ahead and deploy across your various platforms, various devices. So here on the right-hand side, you can manage the whole device. Say that's the corporate-owned policies are set up that the whole device is managed. Just managing a container, so maybe that's the BYOD use case in your environment, where you're just going to land a container and it's going to have the various work apps that the individual needs to use, and they still have full access to their personal device. And then there's the manage the application use case as well, where I just defined a kiosk mode or a single app mode. You can manage that single application across the device. So again, a lot of flexibility in how you deploy, how you manage your devices, how you give various end users the requirements they have, how you want to set up and use their device. And the last thing I'll outline is we do have a self-service portal for the end user. What we find here is this really does offload the burden on your help desk. There's various things that an end user can do to take care of themselves. Maybe they want to, for whatever reason, they need to wipe their device. They can go in there and they can remove the managed aspects of their device from their device. There's other configuration items they can do. They can manage their own content. It gives them a portal to go in and work with their content, whether they need to add content, remove content from the content locker that they have on the device itself. So again, the self-service portal, I think, is a huge benefit. It allows end users to have some freedom in managing their own device. So I just wanted to provide, that high-level overview of what Airwatch is designed to do. I didn't know if there was any questions from the group at the moment. If not, I'm going to hand off to Scott and have him speak to some of the enhancements and announcements on Airwatch.
So Pete has definitely brought you up to speed on kind of what we've always done. What I want to do is talk about what are trends in the mobile space right now. The first trend is, and this is a trend that's been around for 2 years, this is app config for devices. So what's happened is we went through this phase where everybody in this room asked me the same thing. I need to secure and containerize my data. So how do I do that? Well, we came out with mobile access gateway so you can tunnel back in, and we came out with all these interesting solutions, mobile content locker, and it was like I was reinventing the wheel for everybody in the room because everybody has the same problem. So what we did, because we're kind of an industry leader, is we went and we talked to Google and we talked to Microsoft and we said, guys, build this into the operating system. So they have built the functionality in per app VPN directly from the operating system. Containerization, managed open-end directly from the operating system. The challenge is that we had to educate people on how this stuff was used. So developers need to build their applications to do this, and that's what we've done. So we've got a competitor, relatively new to the game, but very, very big, and they are, they're kind of proving us right in this because they have some technology that they have to use in SDK to manage like copy-paste. And that's great as long as those are the only applications that you use. App config for enterprise is the future of being able to containerize data on your devices. Okay, so this is a trend that's big that you really need to be aware of. So these are some of the vendors that we've got in, and I bring this up really for it's more of a historical thing because what it is it brings us to the thing that we at Airwatch learned and you will have to learn as well. How many of you use containerized solutions from Airwatch or somebody else? So it's not MDM enrolled. Okay, so good, just one. Okay, so it was a trend to just do a containerized solution. So you really wouldn't put the device under management. And a lot of the reasons people wouldn't put devices under management was because there was user pushback. Everybody out there assumes you guys track their GPS everywhere and know where they are at lunch and track their applications and know everything that they're doing on their device. You guys know it's not true, but your end user doesn't think so. So because things are built into the operating system and you have to MDM enroll it was very important for us to build out the privacy statements from Airwatch. So now there's two things that are going to happen starting with A3. When you deploy a device, you will get a web clip put on your device that is to the privacy settings that we're going to use. And those of you that do use Airwatch, what happens is you've had this privacy page for years, 5 years, 6 years ago we put in the privacy page that says I'm going to track your GPS or I'm not. And all those settings are there. And what we're able to do is we will now, right in front of your end user, we will put that screen up there that says we are or we're not tracking GPS. We are or we aren't tracking your personal applications. Okay, so we need to make sure that we can get those users into the environment because all these things are in the operating system now. We can containerize and secure your data in the operating system. So very, very important from our standpoint that this was, something that went out there. The first thing is, what is Airwatch.com? Because when you guys are asked to enroll in a device or something, you're going to check the company out, right? So you guys are normal users. Put yourself more in the user mode. What are you going to do when somebody says enroll in Airwatch? Type in, what is Airwatch? So that's why we built what is Airwatch.com. So we'll give your end user kind of a preview of what's going to happen when you come into Airwatch. And it really is to make them feel comfortable. Yes, we're controlling corporate information, but we don't care anything about what you guys are doing. Okay, so very, very important. We've also built out a new role for the privacy officer because, again, everybody assumes IT guys are going to get in there and do something and track something they're not supposed to. To actually make changes to privacy, you have to go through the privacy officer in this case. So really trying to convince the end user that enrolling in the system is the good thing to do because of all the things we get from that, from the things that are in the operating system. This right here is the one kind of huge new announcement that came out from, and I'm sure that every session you've been in, somebody's talked at least a little bit about Workspace ONE. So what I want to do is I want to talk specifically about what is the trend that mobile had to have an application like Workspace ONE. How many of you are going to Google Apps or Office 365? Okay, so kind of in that half mode. So what's the coolest thing about cloud-based applications? You can get them from anywhere. That's awesome. That's so cool. What's the worst thing from a security standpoint about cloud-based applications? You can get them from anywhere. So what do we have to do to control that information, right? Because you guys have dual factors going on here. You want your users to be productive out there in the world, but what about that sensitive data? What are you doing with the sensitive data? So you're at home and you're just doing what you're supposed to be doing. You got sensitive data. How do we control that? Well, we talked earlier that it's built into the operating system that I can containerize it, so I can make sure you can't move it out to places that you're not supposed to. But what if I don't want you? I just said an interesting statement there. I can get it off that device. How do we get it off that device? The device is under management. Now I have a dilemma. So that means I have to have the device under management to get that taken care of. This is why we need, there's lots and lots of really cool reasons why you need Workspace ONE, but from your mobile device standpoint, this is why we needed Workspace ONE. Because if I'm just going to the lunch menu website, who cares? I don't care if that gets lost. If somebody wants to print that out, no big deal. But if I have Salesforce data on there with all my customer records, I don't want that getting out. So, what did I just say? I need to make sure that that device is under management. This is what Workspace ONE does, is it allows us to build a single identity, so it will know that I'm Scott Curry, so that's good. It knows I get Workspace ONE, and this is the part where you get the win-win. Workspace ONE is also the first ever, in my experience, the first ever security win-win. Everybody in here knows that security is a win-loss situation. Long password. Security loves it. Long password. Everybody in the room hates it. Right? So usually it's like, oh, it's a pain in the butt. I got to get on VPN. That means I got to go through things. Secure, painful. This is the first one where we get a win-win because now I put in one password one time and I just launch applications. No more username, password. They're all there right in front of me and I'm just launching away. It's awesome. No more. That's great. I love that. So why is it a win for you? Because of this right here. Okay? You guys get to determine whether this magic launch happened or not, based on a whole bunch of policies that you're putting in behind the scenes here. Okay? Conditional access is why in the mobile space we need Workspace ONE desperately. Because if I can set a policy, and when I go to lunch menu, sure, that's fine. No policy in place. Doesn't matter what device, doesn't matter anything about it. When I go to Salesforce, yeah, I want that device to be under management. So what I can do is Workspace ONE is going to be that gatekeeper. Everybody in here is a smart person. So what you do is you'll go into Workspace ONE, and again, it's available for Windows and iOS and Android now, so please go do this. What will happen when you go into Workspace ONE is you basically just put in a website that kind of is the launcher, right? And so everybody in here kind of knows, if I just grab, my device is under management, Pete's isn't, mine runs out of battery, I just grab his device. And I put in that same URL, right? It's going to be fine. Everything will be fine. What's going to happen is it's going to launch, and we then, through patented technology, make sure that that device is enrolled. This is very, very cool stuff. So we are handling, with certificates and Kerberos Auth, we're handling that behind the scenes. So those of you that are on Airwatch today, we have implemented this using Airwatch Cloud Connector. For those of you that aren't Airwatch customers, if you're in the cloud, it could be a bit of a hassle to get data from on-prem like Active Directory. So we built this tool called Airwatch Cloud Connector that makes it really easy. So it's an outbound-only connection. Your firewall team doesn't get all cranky about it. It's just a service that runs, very scalable. In 8.3, we made it so all of this stuff would use Airwatch Cloud Connector. So that is one of the things. To get to Workspace 1, you do not have to go use 8.3 to do it. And if we're working with Jared on some VDI kind of functions as well, we may still need to be on-prem. But for just this conditional access that I'm showing you right now, that's all implemented just using ACC. So there's really nothing to stand up. It's just like doing Airwatch in the cloud now. We'll give you an instance. We'll say, here's your VIDM instance, Workspace 1 instance. And you will, that's really all there is to it. So you immediately get this functionality. So this is something that everybody can get into. Really, I would say, as soon as you get your environment to 8.3, this is something I would encourage you to get to, because most of you have probably the licenses that you need. And obviously Pete and Josh would love to talk to you about if you don't. But we can get this up and running incredibly easily because it's just ACC. So another big win, okay? So this is really what Workspace 1 means in the mobile space. You're also going to get desktops, you're going to get all the delivery mechanisms in the future, but right now, solving that one problem of making sure that you're only allowing managed devices into your corporate data, is a big win for you. And the user gets something for free. All of a sudden, they don't have passwords anymore, so that's good as well. Okay, any questions about Workspace 1? I want to make sure this is kind of the last session of the day, and that was our big announcement. And
I was wondering about the applications. I mean, I can see how you can manage data and whatnot, like the application, but what about the browser-based sessions? Like, I mean, if you have the same, like you created a Dropbox manager, right? You want to control how you access the data and how you treat it. Fine, you can do it like when you're an app, but what about like if you launch and manage a browser-based session? Would that be like sort of circumventing the process? Like if you're trying to do the same thing but using your browser versus the app?
so at some point, that's a great question. So if I could paraphrase, how do we keep that? Where's the key to get to the good data? Kind of. So I got one key that is the application that's on the device. I've got another key that is kind of just the web browser. You can kind of do the same thing from either the native application on the device or you can do it from the web browser. The key behind all this, and to be entirely upfront, and Box is a great example because they'll handle this, is what this is really all dependent on is SAML-based authentication. So what happens when you actually go to a site? What it means for those of you that aren't really that familiar with SAML is basically what it means is I don't really know how to validate who you are. But they told me, somebody, this administrator, my Box administrator or my Salesforce administrator said, there's this guy over here called Workspace 1. He knows how to validate you. So when you go to Box, what happens is he goes, I don't know who you are, and I don't know how to find out. So he will redirect you to identity manager regardless of which way you go in. And say, okay, you have to authenticate via Workspace 1. So all this will happen. But you bring up another very good point. Let's make a scenario where we want to be able to get in if we're using the native app, but we don't want to get in if we're using the browser. Policy will allow you to determine what type of device will come in. The other thing, I'm glad you bring this up, because when I say policy will allow me to determine what type of device will get in or what application will get in. So, as you think this through, today we talked about what would happen on a mobile application, but what happens when I want to present a desktop? So Jared's got some really cool VDI stuff for me, and he's got this kind of older app out there, and we as administrators started to really realize, yeah, we can do it, but the end user experience just isn't that good. So what we can do is we can, via policy, determine, hey, you're on a mobile device. We know, everybody in the room realize this experience isn't that good. Let's not even put it in the catalog. So we won't even present it on the catalog because we know who you are and we know what device you're coming from. So, and we know what application. So we can say, if you're coming from web, yes. If you're not coming from web, no. If you're coming from a Windows 10 device, yes. If you're coming from an Android device, no. So all of this really gives you tons of flexibility behind the scenes to determine how you're delivering this stuff out. Because as we go forward and we are able to deliver any application to any device, that sounds really good and it is really good, but we all know that sometimes that just, the experience just isn't really good. So let's not, fit a square peg in a round hole. Okay? And that's another thing that Workspace 1 does. So all of these things, we gave you just like the kind of quick to checkbox policies that you can set. There's gobs and gobs of policies on how you actually going to deliver what's out there. Okay? Then the last thing that we've got that we really want to talk about is NSX and what happens with Airwatch and NSX. Quick show of hands for those of you that are using Airwatch. Is anybody using Mobile Access Gateway? Okay. Hoping for a higher adoption than that. But anyway, we'll work on that as we go forward. Mobile Access Gateway is the technology that allows us to do a tunnel back into your environment. So there are applications that are out there. We created the secure browser that does this. We created secure content locker so you can get to internal SharePoint sites. And we use the Mobile Access Gateway to do this. To go back to that app config conversation at the beginning, those are now being built into the operating system. So it's not just those limited applications. Any application that you've got, even if it's a public application from the store, you can now do per app VPN. So you can actually tunnel back in an application to your environment. It doesn't have to be just an Airwatch application. You can tunnel any application in that you want. So that seems good. That seems real good. But as we have learned from the Sony hack is once you get in, the challenge once you're in, once you've made a connection into that environment, now all of a sudden you're in the four walls. So you get to run around the kingdom and do whatever you want. You get to pillage whatever you want once you're in the kingdom. So the problem doesn't go away just because we've got Mobile Access Gateway. It's like that is a tunnel into your environment. And prior to NSX, I was pillaging away. I could get in there, and if I could do something naughty, once I got in using Airwatch Tunnel, away I went. NSX is really the key to what goes on. So when we very first started this, we had to do device level VPN. Terrible. So every application, all the data flowed through there. I'm watching YouTube videos, and guess what's happening? I'm just going through the VPN, and I'm using VPNs. That was bad. So then we came with app level VPN, better. So now if I'm surfing YouTube, at least I'm not going through the VPN. I'm just, using the internet for what the internet needs to be used for, and I'm going in to get corporate data when I need to get corporate data. But again, I'm in. So I'm in the four walls, so now I'm over here, and I'm running around, and I'm plundering. Once I figure out how to plunder, I'm plundering everything over there on the right. So what we ended up with is NSX. And basically, just since this is the Airwatch session, what we do is NSX creates these pools of servers. So I'm going to way oversimplify this, but it basically creates these pools of servers. So you say I've got these SharePoint servers, or I've got these web servers, or I've got these And you know, NSX does all the magic, and so that it takes this group of pools and it says, okay, this is a pool of servers that does this function. Within Airwatch, what we are able to do is we say these app IDs, so the exact applications, get access to these pools of servers, and no more. So I'm no longer in here and able to plunder anything except the one server that I'm on. So once I'm in, you have me contained. That application gets exactly one endpoint in your environment. That's what NSX does, okay? And so we use the Airwatch tunnel technology. So we've got this tool that basically creates this pipe right here. And so we've had that tunnel technology for a fair amount of time. It creates the pipe, and it lets me into the kingdom. And what NSX does is now, as administrators, you say, if I'm using this app, Safari, for some reason somebody needs to get into an internal site using Safari, you say, Safari can go to Web Pool 1. And that's it. They can't go anywhere else. So if somebody's able to get in and write some magic cross-site scripting hack or whatever they might want to do, they will be limited to what they can do in that one pool of servers. Okay, so Airwatch has implemented this technology to allow you to secure your mobile devices all the way in to just a single group of servers, or a single server if you wanted it to be. Okay? So that is also an 8.3 feature that came out. So a lot of the things that I'm talking about, the big things that we came out with were privacy, because we want people to enroll their devices. You get all the DLP stuff from enrolling the device. Next question. Anybody using Android for work? Anybody talking about it? Okay, at least talking about it. Kind of talking about it. Okay, so good, great technology, really cool, works incredibly well. The challenge that many of you probably know if you are working with mobile much is Android has this upgrade challenge. They kind of have a long tail. And unlike iOS, when the new 9 or 10 comes out, you know, kind of within 3 months, some 75 or 80% of the people are on it. Android, you still kind of have this tail of 4 devices out there. You've got Lollipop that's coming out now. You got Marshmallow, which is still lower adoption. Works great. But again, that's where all of this, when I say built into the operating system, iOS, completely built into the operating system. Everything is containerized. If you actually go to the Apple website now, it says Apple containerizes your data. So they're pushing this as well. Android has a great solution, really good solution. Unfortunately, they've got this kind of tail thing that we've got to get all the devices out there. Windows actually has taken, Windows 10 has taken this ability to containerize data to an entirely new level. Have any of you guys seen the enterprise data protection for Windows 10? Okay, amazing stuff. Basically, what you as administrators do is you define what is enterprise data. And so it's file types, it's you know, URIs, it's URLs, it's, you know, anything that you can really kind of think to define. You say this is enterprise data, and you can define whether or not you can move it in and out of containers. They've even taken it to the point where if you try to move it out of the container, they've given you like 4 or 5 policies. 1 is, can't do it. 2 is, can't do it, and we'll kind of put it in a log someplace. 3 is, can do it, but we're going to give you a big warning here. It says, you're doing this. Are you okay with that? And then there's kind of like, yeah, don't worry about it. Just go ahead and send it out. So all of this is really, this whole ability to do security in the mobile space has really taken a huge step forward, and everybody's on board. So my final question is, this year, who's doing Windows 10? Who's going to Windows 10? Ooh, nice. For those of you that didn't hear on purpose. Okay, so good. That's a lot. So is anybody even thinking about trying to do the MDM version of managing their Windows devices? Okay, good. All right, great. Have you started the project? And Okay, so far we're all thumbs up. So far, haven't found anything that's a challenge, or just trying to get some feedback, because we definitely have done a lot of them. The airline that flies in and out of Minneapolis predominantly is a big customer of ours, and they're doing a lot of things with Windows 10. And so, anybody that wants to jump on that Windows 10 thing and be able to manage those devices using kind of the traditional over-the-air method, it seems to be working quite well for them. So just looking for that. So that said, I want to thank you guys very much. It's been a great day. I'm so glad that you invited us to come. And just to reemphasize, Pete Day covers some of the accounts, and then Josh Olson in the back left there covers accounts as well. So if you need anything Airwatch, please let us know, and one of those two guys will get in touch. And I work with both of them, so hopefully I get a chance to come out and meet with you again. And that's it for me. Thank you guys very much. Appreciate it.